The story of the Ottoman Empire is a tale of incredible power, vast armies, and sprawling cities. But behind all of that, there is another story, one told not in grand palaces, but in the pockets of ordinary people. This is the story of the Akçe, the small silver coin that powered the empire for centuries. Its journey begins in the early days of Ottoman rule, under the leadership of Orhan I, the son of the empire's founder, Osman. Around the year 1326, Orhan ordered the minting of the very first Ottoman coin. This was a hugely significant moment. It was a declaration of sovereignty, a sign that the Ottomans were no longer just a small principality, but a growing power with its own identity and its own economy. This new coin was named the Akçe. The name itself derived from the Turkish word ak, meaning white or bright, perfectly described its appearance, a small, shining piece of silver. The design of the first Akçe was simple yet powerful. It was not adorned with the image of the ruler, as was common in many European kingdoms. Instead, in keeping with Islamic tradition, it carried inscriptions. On one side, it bore the Kalima, the Islamic declaration of faith. There is no God but God, Muhammad is the messenger of God. On the other side, it featured the name of the ruler, Orhan, and the name of his father, Osman. Along with the date and place it was minted, often Bursa, the first Ottoman capital. This design sent a clear message about the foundations of the new state. Its power was rooted in both its Islamic faith and its ruling dynasty. The coin was a symbol of legitimacy and authority, a piece of propaganda that could travel from hand to hand. Initially, the Akçe was a coin of high quality. It was minted from nearly pure silver, weighing approximately 1.2 grams. This high silver content gave it real, tangible value, making it a trusted medium of exchange not just within Ottoman lands, but also in neighboring territories. For a new and expanding state, having a reliable currency was absolutely vital. It allowed the government to pay its soldiers and officials, collect taxes in a standardized way, and fund its ambitious military campaigns. The Akçe was more than just money. It was the financial bedrock upon which the early Ottoman state was built, providing the stability needed for its remarkable expansion from a small Anatolian beylik into a world-spanning empire. The creation of the Akçe was a deliberate and strategic move. Before its introduction, a mix of different currencies circulated in the region, including Byzantine coins and those from other Turkish principalities. By introducing their own distinct coin, the Ottomans asserted their economic independence. It was a clear signal to the world that they were a force to be reckoned with. Every time an Akçe was used in a transaction, whether to buy bread in a market or to pay a tax collector, it reinforced the authority of the Ottoman Sultan. The little silver coin became a constant, tangible reminder of the Sultan's power, spreading his name and influence throughout his ever-growing realm and laying the financial groundwork for the centuries of Ottoman dominance that would follow. As the Ottoman Empire grew, so did the importance of the Akçe. It quickly became the backbone of the entire economy, the standard unit of account for everything from imperial budgets to daily shopping. If you were a soldier, you were paid in Akçes. If you were a farmer selling your wheat at the market, you would receive Akçes in return. Tax collectors would demand payments in Akçes. The prices of goods, from silk and spices to bread and vegetables, were all quoted in this small silver coin. It was the essential currency that lubricated the wheels of commerce across 3 continents. Its small size and value made it perfect for the day-to-day transactions that formed the fabric of Ottoman society, making it the coin of the people. The empire's expansion under powerful sultans like Mehmed the Conqueror and Suleiman the Magnificent meant that the demand for akçes exploded. To meet this need, the number of mints producing the coin grew dramatically. While the first mint was in Bursa, new ones were established in major cities across the empire as they were conquered. Mints were opened in Edirne, Constantinople, which is now Istanbul, Damascus, Cairo, and even in the Balkans. Each mint would produce akçes bearing the name of the reigning sultan, but they often had small distinct marks that identified their place of origin. This vast network of mints ensured a steady supply of currency, binding the diverse provinces of the empire together into a single, integrated economic zone. For the average Ottoman subject, the akçe was an unavoidable part of life. A craftsman in Istanbul would use it to buy his raw materials and sell his finished goods. A peasant in Egypt would pay his land taxes with it. A janissary stationed in Hungary would receive his salary in bags filled with thousands of these silver coins. The state's massive budgets were calculated in millions of akçes. For example, the construction of the magnificent Süleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul was a colossal project, and all its expenses, from the wages of the thousands of workers to the cost of the precious materials, were meticulously recorded in account books, with every single expenditure listed in akçes. The coin was truly ubiquitous. This widespread use created a sense of shared economic identity. A merchant traveling from Cairo to Belgrade could use the same currency throughout his journey, a testament to the empire's unity and economic strength. The akçe was more than just a tool for exchange. It was a symbol of the Pax Ottomana, the Ottoman peace, which brought a degree of stability and predictability to trade across a vast and diverse region. The steady clinking of akçes in marketplaces from the Danube to the Nile was the sound of the imperial economy at work, a system that, for a time, was one of the most powerful and sophisticated in the world, all built upon a foundation of small, unassuming silver coins. For centuries, the akçe was a symbol of Ottoman stability, but this was not destined to last forever. As the empire faced new challenges, including costly wars and changing global trade routes, its finances came under immense pressure. One of the ways the state tried to solve its money problems was through a process known as debasement. This meant that the government would reduce the amount of precious metal, in this case silver, in each coin. They would recall the old, high-purity coins, melt them down, and mix the silver with cheaper metals like copper. They could then mint a larger number of new coins from the same amount of silver. The new coins looked the same and had the same face value, but their real intrinsic worth was much lower. This process began slowly, but accelerated dramatically from the late 16th century onwards. For example, an akçe minted under Süleyman the Magnificent in the mid-1500s contained a certain amount of silver. By the end of the century, an akçe with the same name and official value might contain only half that amount. This was a short-term fix for the government's cash flow problems, but it had disastrous long-term consequences for the economy and for ordinary people. When people realized that the coins in their pockets were worth less than they used to be, confidence in the currency collapsed. This led to severe inflation. Prices for everyday goods like food and clothing shot up, as merchants demanded more of the debased coins to make up for their lower silver content. This inflation hit the poorest members of society the hardest. It also created huge problems for people on fixed incomes, most notably the soldiers and officials of the state. The janissaries, the elite infantry of the Ottoman army, were paid a fixed salary in akçes. As the coin was debased and prices rose, their wages were effectively cut. They could no longer buy as much with their pay as they could before. This led to widespread discontent and, on several occasions, open revolt. The famous incident of the Tuna tree in 1656 was partly fueled by soldiers' anger over being paid in debased coins. The shrinking Akçe was not just an economic problem, it was becoming a serious threat to political stability. As the empire's economy grew more complex and its trade with Europe increased, the tiny, devalued Akçe was becoming impractical for large transactions. Merchants and the state needed a more stable and substantial currency. In response, Sultan Mehmed II, the conqueror of Constantinople, had already introduced a gold coin called the Sultani in the 15th century. It was modeled on the popular Venetian ducat and was intended for international trade and large-scale state payments. The introduction of the Sultani was a sign that the Ottoman Empire was now a major player on the world stage, with an economy that required different types of currency for different needs. The Akçe remained the coin for daily use, but its status as the sole pillar of the monetary system was beginning to erode. The continuous debasement of the Akçe throughout the 17th century rendered it almost useless. Its silver content had fallen so dramatically that it had become a tiny, paper-thin piece of metal, often containing more copper than silver. It was difficult to handle, and its value was incredibly volatile. The government's attempts to manage the economy through debasement had backfired, creating a chaotic monetary situation with rampant inflation and a loss of public trust. The once proud coin that had built an empire was now a symbol of its economic troubles. It was clear that the system was broken and that the Akçe could no longer serve as the primary unit of currency for a major world power. A fundamental reform was urgently needed. The solution came in the late 17th century, with the introduction of a new, much larger silver coin. This coin was inspired by the large European silver coins, like the Dutch Leeuwendaler, or Lion Dollar, and the Austrian Thaler, which were circulating widely in the Ottoman Empire due to their high and reliable silver content. The Ottomans began to mint their own version, which came to be known as the kurush. Initially, the kurush was not a new denomination, but was instead a valuation, set as being equal to 120 debased akçes. This new, heavy silver coin provided the stability that the economy desperately needed for larger domestic transactions, effectively taking over the role that the Akçe could no longer fulfill. The arrival of the kurush marked the beginning of the end for the Akçe. Over the course of the 18th century, the kurush, along with its subdivisions, gradually replaced the Akçe as the main silver currency of the empire. The Akçe was not abolished overnight. It continued to be minted for a time, but its value plummeted further. It was eventually relegated to the status of a very small value coin, a piece of small change used for the most minor of transactions. By the early 19th century, the minting of the Akçe ceased altogether. After a journey of nearly 500 years, the coin that had been present at the birth of the empire and had financed its golden age had finally disappeared from circulation. The rise and fall of the Akçe is a powerful story about the fortunes of an empire. It reflects the Ottoman state's journey from a dynamic, expanding power with a strong and trusted currency to a sprawling empire grappling with economic instability and decline. The Akçe's debasement shows the immense pressures the state was under and the desperate measures it took to stay afloat. Its eventual replacement by the kurush was a necessary reform, an acknowledgement that the old system was broken. The little silver coin, which for centuries was a part of daily life for millions, now rests in museums, a silent witness